Buddy. Welcome. Today I'm going to be reading this book. It's one of my favorites from the indigenous communities of the Pacific Northwest. It's called Raven, a trickster tale from the Pacific Northwest, and the author is Gerald McDermott. All right, I hope you enjoy, and let's go ahead and begin. I will make myself a little bit smaller here so that we can make sure and focus on the book. Okay. All right, so this is Raven, a trickster tale from the Pacific Northwest. The author is Gerald McDermott. This is the inside cover. And right here, I'll read you a little bit about what Gerald wrote. Along the coast of the Pacific Northwest, as far north as Alaska, Raven is the central character in most Native American myths and tales. A shapeshifter imbued with magical powers, he is at once brave and cunning, greedy and gluttonous. Raven is a trickster on a cosmic scale, mischief maker, and culture hero, at times wreaking havoc and at other times bestowing on humankind the gift of fire, light, or food. To this day, Raven is a central figure in the richly imagined tribal arts of the region. He is depicted along with other important animal spirits in a highly stylized form on totem poles, carved bones and utensils, jewelry, weaving, and baskets. This tale is told with variations throughout all the native groups of the Northwest Coast. With its dreamlike setting, Raven balances his heroism and trickery to bring a blessing to the people. All right. Raven came. All the world was in darkness. The sky above was in darkness. The waters below were in darkness. Men and women lived in the dark and the cold. Raven was sad for them. He said, "I will search for light." Oh, it's very dark. Raven flew across the valleys and across mountains. He flew along rivers and over lakes. There was darkness all around. But then he saw a bit of light far away. He flew and came closer to the light. The light was at the edge of the water. I wonder where that light came from. The light came from the house of the Sky Chief, and it was shining. Raven perched high in a pine tree on the shore. Raven watched. He saw a beautiful young girl emerge from the shining house and go to the edge of the water. She was the Sky Chief's daughter. She knelt and drank some water from a woven basket. Raven changed himself into a pine needle. He fell down from the tree and floated on the water. When the girl drank again, she swallowed the pine needle. Oh, so we talked about how Raven can transform and be a shapeshifter. It looks like he's changing his shape here. After a time, the girl gave birth to a child. The child was small and dark, with shiny black hair and tiny black eyes. Who do you think the child was? It was Raven. Raven had been reborn as a boy child. Sky Chief was delighted with his daughter's child. He called him grandchild. He played with the boy and carved toys for him. He invited the elders to come and see the curious and wonderful child. What do you notice about that child that makes you think it could be Raven? I see his nose is in the shape of a raven beak, that black hair, even his arms and clothes have kind of a winged looking appearance. The elders gathered in the shining house with the Sky Chief and his daughter. They watched Raven Child crawl around the floor of the lodge. He pretended to be playing, but all the time he was trying to find out where the light was hidden. He saw a box in the corner of the lodge. Oh, I wonder why Raven was wondering where the light was. The box was large. It was painted many colors. The box was bright. It glowed. Ravenchild said, "Gah! Gah!" "What do you want?" asked his mother. Ravenchild said, "Gah! Gah!" He began to cry. "What does the child want?" asked the elders. Ravenchild said again, "Gah! Gah!" And he cried and cried. "My grandchild wants the box," said the Sky Chief. Oh. The young woman placed the box in front of Ravenchild, but the boy continued to cry. She took the lid off the box, and inside was an even smaller box. She took the lid off that box, and inside was still a smaller box. He took the lid off that book, his mother took the lid off that box, and light poured out of it. Light flooded the room. Inside the box was a shining ball, blazing with light. What do you think that ball was? It was the sun. "Give him the ball," said the Sky Chief. Oh. His mother gave Ravenchild the ball. Ravenchild stopped crying. He began to play with it. He rolled it around the floor of the lodge. "Gah! Gah!" He changed into a bird. "Ha! Ha!" He became Raven once again. "Caw! Caw!" Sky Chief, his daughter, and the elders looked on in amazement. Wow, look at Raven's transformation. Raven plucked up the ball of light in his beak, flew through the smoke hole of the lodge, and disappeared into the dark sky. Notice on this picture right here on your screen how Raven is holding the sun in his beak. That's very similar to some of those pictures we saw earlier on in the Nearpod. Raven flew over the valleys and the mountains. He flew along the rivers and across the lakes. Raven threw the sun high in the sky, and it stayed there. This is how Raven stole the sun and gave it to all the people. And why do the people always feed Raven? Well, they feed him to thank him for bringing them light. And that was the story of Raven the Trickster and how he brought light, or the gift of sun, to the people. All right. There's lots of books in this series, and next week we're actually going to read more about Raven. We're going to kind of read a different version of this story, which I'm excited to share with you. And we're going to do some drawing with it. I sent home some packets for you to do some drawing with. So we'll be doing that next week. We'll be learning a little more about Raven and all that. So I hope you had a great time. This Nearpod had a lot of information in it. We learned about indigenous peoples, where they came from, where they live, why Raven is important to them and their community. So thank you for listening, and I will see you again next time. All right. Bye-bye.